Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And if you haven't checked out my previous video, I reviewed No Mercy from last night. So if you haven't got a chance to check it out, uh, please go check it out. I uploaded it earlier today. So tonight's Raw I thought was a very shitty show, in my opinion. I thought uh, no Mercy, even though it wasn't a terrible show, but it was a mixed bag with some matches. After watching Raw tonight, I have to say No Mercy was better than tonight's Raw. Even though there was three shitty matches on No Mercy last night. Reigns and Cena, Enzo and Neville, and of course Strowman and Lesnar, which was disappointing. Uh, Aside from those three matches, everything else on the No Mercy card I thought was better than what we saw on Raw tonight. But let's get started. The show opened, of course, with Miz TV. Miz introduces his guest, who is Roman Reigns, which it was announced last night at No Mercy. Miz ends up saying to Roman, what a year Roman has been having. Him being the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and him beating Cena last night at No Mercy, and how Cena passed the torch down to him, of being like the one to carry WWE, in the coming years. And Roman says that he respects Cena now, and I'm like, really, you respect Cena now after you were roasting him for like 2 weeks of just him roasting Cena? And I'm like, really? And he's like, Cena says he held it down in the company for 15 years, and he's proud that he beat Cena last night, and that it was the biggest win he's had in his career. And he ends up calling Miz an idiot. Then Roman tells Miz that if it weren't for Curtis and Bo, helping out, Jason Jordan would have won the Intercontinental Championship last night. And then Miz says that if the Miztourage would have faced the Shield, because Miz was talking about the Shield, and if the Shield were to face were to even face the Miztourage years ago. But Roman says that if they would have had a match with the Miztourage when he was still with the Shield, they would have whipped their asses. And he said that he is now coming after Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. And then Roman ends up also telling Miz, let's fight, and he asks the crowd if they want to see him fight Miz tonight. Miz is like, no, I can't compete. I have a suit on. So, and then he just he says, oh, I'm not fighting, and he ends up walking out of the ring. Kurt Angle comes out and makes a match for tonight. It's going to be Miz and Roman later on tonight. And he ends up saying to the Miztourage, Curtis and Bo, that it will be them versus Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan, which is happening after they come back from commercial, after Raw came back from commercial. And pretty much that's how the segment ended. And I have to say it was a decent segment. It wasn't perfect or great by any means, though. But then as the show came back from commercial, of course, we had Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan versus Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. It was a decent match, back and forth between them. You had Jeff Hardy, outside of the ring, just cheering on, his brother Matt. But Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan ended up getting the win, with Matt hitting the twist of fate on Bo Dallas. So, but it was a decent match. And then after that, we had Elias in the ring, saying, how he walked through Apollo Crews last night, and he ends up singing about him and how Titus Worldwide is going to fail, and how trashed, the town is because, they were in Ontario, California tonight. And so it ended up being Elias versus Apollo Crews once again, the rematch from the kickoff show last night. And this match, it was a shit match. Did not care for it. It's just Elias, just taking out Apollo Crews. Elias actually hit Titus in the leg, just kicked him in the leg, and eventually led to him hitting the drift away on Apollo to score the win. And that's pretty much how it went. And then after the match, Titus takes it to Elias, just beating him up, and then Elias, retreats out of the ring, wanted nothing to do with Titus. So I guess that's what's going to happen next. It's going to be probably Elias versus Titus, maybe next week. So, but all in all, it was a shit match. Didn't care for it. Then after that, we had Finn Balor being interviewed. Finn says that he hopes Bray is humiliated for what he did in the past. What he did with Goldust and him. And Finn says, he's going on now to reclaim the Universal Championship. So it was a short little interview with Finn Balor. Then we get to Kurt Hawkins. Yay! Ugh. Kurt Hawkins is out saying, how, his losing streak is going to end tonight. And he's like, who wants to challenge me? Who wants to challenge Kurt Hawkins? Braun Strowman ends up coming out. Kurt runs away. Strowman, we see Hawkins running through the crowd. Strowman, ends up catching him. And then Strowman puts Hawkins through a table, tosses him on the stage, and then rams Hawkins through the screen on the stage, breaks the screen. Then Braun ends up going into the ring. He gets on the mic and says, he's on a path of destruction and he's not leaving the ring until he gets a real fight. So, and then Dean Ambrose ends up coming out, and pretty much that sets up the match. So it's Braun Strowman versus Dean Ambrose. And this was a decent match, I gotta say. I sort of enjoyed it. It was, back and forth between Strowman and Ambrose, and I pretty much knew Ambrose was not winning the match, just for them to make Strowman look more strong. But it was just Strowman just taking out Ambrose in some parts of the match. Strowman ended up winning with a power slam to Ambrose. So, but it was a decent match. I kind of liked it. I mean, it's just, to make Strowman look more stronger. After coming off of his match with Lesnar last night. And also, Lesnar wasn't even on tonight's Raw. I'm like, really? Really? No Lesnar tonight? Why? And then we see, after that match, Enzo comes and, he approaches Kurt and says that he wants a celebration tonight for him winning the Cruiserweight Championship. And then Kurt then ends up, giving Enzo his celebration. It was just that. So nothing really to say about that. Then Seth and Dean are backstage, and Seth says to Dean that he should relax, and after what he's doing, and then Dean tells Seth to stop being very predictable, and Seth says that he's going to talk to Kurt about him having a match against Strowman next week. So I guess next week it's going to be Seth versus Strowman. We'll see how that goes. I know probably Strowman's going to win it, but who knows. And then Alexa Bliss ends up coming out saying that she always thought of the crowd as like her friends, and she goes on to say that she is disappointed in them, and she says she got nothing but gossip, and no congrats on her, not even a congrats about her winning the match last night, the Fatal 5-Way match. And she goes on to say that she cleaned out the women's division. Mickie James ends up coming out, and she says to Alexa that she didn't beat her because she wasn't in the match last night. Alexa says to Mickie that she respects her, and because she brought Mickie back to WWE, and that Mickie has a lot to offer, and she just says that she's good in the ring, and she doesn't want to see Mickie break a hip. And then it was just basically Alexa sucking up to Mickie. Mickie says that she wants Alexa to repeat what she said on Raw Talk, because apparently last night during Raw Talk, Alexa called Mickie a old lady, and pretty much that's basically what Alexa said tonight. She called Mickie an old lady once again. And we see Mickie slap Alexa, kicks her out of the ring. So it was a decent segment with them. And then after that it was Seth Rollins versus Sheamus. Was not that good of a match in my opinion. Just back and forth between Seth and Sheamus. We had Cesaro at ringside, but Seth Rollins got the win with the knee to the cheek, and the Sheamus's cheek, to score the win. So, all in all, not that good of a match. Didn't really care for it. And then after that, we see Finn Balor backstage with Goldust. Goldust says to Finn that he is not a victim, of Bray Wyatt, what Bray Wyatt did, and that he doesn't need Finn's help, and that he can do it by himself. Finn then apologized to Goldust if Finn offended Goldust, and then Goldust then just starts beating the hell out of Finn. So it was a little backstage segment, crazy what Goldust did to Finn. And then after that we had Roman Reigns versus The Miz, and it was a typical Roman Reigns match. It was Roman Reigns just pretty much manhandling Miz through most of the match. But he won the match. Roman Reigns won the match with a spear. So, and then you had like the Miz-Taraj get involved at some points. Then after the match, the Miz-Taraj then beats the hell out of Roman. Roman ends up hitting Miz with another Superman punch. Because he hit one when the match was going on. And, then the Miz-Taraj ends up coming in. They, with two chairs, they both hit Roman with the chair. Miz then hits him with a skull-crushing finale. Then as they leave the ring, they're walking back up the ramp. Roman ends up, a little bit coming back, getting back up on his feet. But Miz and the Miztourage end up running back in, and Miz hits Roman with the chair, and Miz gives him another skull crushing finale, which Roman went face first into the chair, and then you see Miz and the Miztourage just mimicking the Shield with the fist bump. So they're just mimicking the Shield. So I guess this pretty much sets up maybe the Shield reunion, which I've read today that they said that the Shield reunion could be at TLC, which is the next Raw pay-per-view. TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs. So pretty much, maybe it'll be, maybe the Shield would have a reunite and take on Miz and the Miztourage. But who knows? And then after that, it was Finn Balor versus Goldust. It was meh kind of match. You had Finn taking out Goldust. Goldust came back, took out on Finn, but Finn Balor actually won the match with the coup de grace on Goldust to score the win. But it was just meh kind of match. Then after the match, Bray Wyatt played his mind games, and you hear he's got the whole world in his hands. That whole thing that he used to do when but that was it was pretty interesting though. So all in all, it was just meh. And then after that, we see Bayley and Sasha backstage. Sasha ends up telling Bayley that she was this close to win the championship back, to win the Raw Women's Championship back, and that her and Bayley should focus on Nia and Emma tonight. And Bayley ends up telling her that tonight Nia is going to, she is going to make Nia feel her pain. So it was a little backstage segment with them. And then ENZO once again approaches Kurt Angle and says to Kurt that he wants a no contract clause, so nobody could interrupt his celebration. And if anybody interrupted it or punched, took him out, they won't get a shot at the Cruiserweight title, at the Cruiserweight Championship. So, and then Kurt ends up saying, yeah, I'll get you a no contract clause. And then he ends up calling ENZO annoying, which was funny. So it was a little backstage segment with them. And then after that, it was Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Emma and Nia Jax. And this was practically the main event match. And I have to say it was an okay match. Not great or perfect though by any means, but you just had Bayley and Sasha working on Emma and Nia. Nia was taking out Bayley at some points of the match, but Bayley and Sasha ended up winning because Bayley hit the Bayley to belly on Emma to score the win for her and Sasha. So, but all in all, it was an okay match. And then we get to ENZO's celebration, and this was just all in all terrible in the beginning, where he's just yapping off, and he says, "Oh, people are jealous of him," and he says that Big Cass is probably jealous, and he ends up saying that he was holding Big Cass up, and he says that he made Enzo ends up saying that he made 205 relevant. I'm like, you made 205 live relevant since when? I mean, he's been in the cruiserweight division a month, I think. I'm not sure, but was it a month already that he's been in the cruiserweights? Ever since Big Cass ever since Big Cass got injured. So, and then the segment got good when all the cruiserweight division, when all the stars in the cruiserweight division came out, and then we see Enzo shitting on everybody in the division. So I guess this is a heel turn, sort of a heel turn for Enzo, and Neville ends up coming out, and Enzo says that the title is on a champion now. Neville says to Enzo that he is such a toxic individual that everyone comes in contact with, and says, why is he in the cruiserweight division? The only reason that he's here is because nobody likes him. Nobody likes Enzo, and that, he is nothing but a disgrace, and, he's making a joke out of the division, and, and that Neville is going to end him. So that's pretty much what Neville said to Enzo. Enzo says, Neville ends up again in the ring, and Enzo says that if Neville lays a hand on him, he will never get a shot at the Cruiserweight Championship because he holds up the no contract clause that Kurt said, I'll give you that, earlier. And then we see Neville then attack Enzo. Enzo tries to get away, but the Cruiserweight division blocks him from going to the back. And then we just see Neville keep attacking him, and he ends up taking the no contract clause, putting it in Enzo's mouth. And then that's when Neville hits the red arrow on Enzo. So this could be a double turn where Enzo is heel, where he was pretty much just talking shit about the whole cruiserweight division, everybody, all the stars on there, and Neville could be turn being a babyface because everybody in the crowd was chanting for Neville when he did the red arrow on Enzo. So, but I mean, and then we had before the cruiserweights all came out, Enzo said, "Oh, I'm retiring my jersey that I wore, last night." And then it was just Neville just slams Enzo into the into the frame where the jersey was in. But Neville just was kicking Enzo's ass. Threw him into the barricade. So, and pretty much when Neville hit the red arrow on Enzo, it pretty much ended the show tonight. So, but all in all, it was a shitty segment in the beginning, but it got pretty good in the end, where all the cruiserweights in the division come out, and also Neville just taking out Enzo and laying the truth on Enzo, because a lot of the things Neville said were possibly true about Enzo, saying how nobody wants to come in contact with him, that he's such a toxic individual because all the backstage drama that they've been talking about Enzo. So, but yeah, so pretty much that's basically it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. So that's it for my review of Raw tonight. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow night for my SmackDown review. Bye.